Hi, my name's Fiona Kelly and I'm an Irish artist. I'm here today to show you a little exploration of your local ecosystems through art and leaf rubbing. So I decided just to look at oak trees as an ecosystem. An ecosystem is a place, a bubble, where plants and animals and the weather and the atmosphere and rocks and soil live together harmoniously in a community, all working together. So ecosystems, there's two types, aquatic, aqua, so in the water, or terrestrial, which means anything that's not in the water, so on ground. They can be tiny, like when you pick up a rock, or they can be huge, like the Gobi Desert. So the ecosystem we're going to look at is an oak tree. So I'm just going to pretend to draw an oak tree here. Well, not pretend, draw an oak tree, sorry. And when we think of an oak tree, we might just think, okay, what lives here? We know birds live here, okay, that's obvious. But sometimes bats live here too. And sometimes the birds eat insects that live here. And who else eats insects? Spiders. The fruit, there is a fruit from the oak tree, and that's an acorn that I can't spell. And squirrels eat the acorns. And you can keep going. Who else eats the acorns? Maybe deer down here. But there's also a lot that happens down here when the leaves fall. There's something called leaf litter. And lots of bugs live there. And worms root up the soil, so they make compost. And so on and so forth. There is 400 plus species in any given oak tree. Sometimes a fox may roost here. Actually, when I went out, I wanted to forage some things from an oak tree. Maybe you might have one in your school or in your garden. But I found this under the oak tree and I didn't know what it was. So I had to do some research in a book. So I knew it was an acorn, but there's this growth coming off it. And it's actually called an oak gall. And it happens when a wasp lays an egg in the acorn and it grows a growth from it called a gall. So I thought that was really interesting. Other things are lichen you might want to collect. Never pick lichen from the tree because it's really, really important. But you can find it on the ground or on branches. So I want you to collect all the things. So you could make a map of your tree and you could have flowers and bugs and things that the tree gives to the ground, and things that the ground gives to the tree, and things that the tree gives us. So, I didn't have a sketchbook because I used all mine, but I started drawing all the things that were interesting to me. A bark beetle, and I had to draw things a few times in order to get them right. I like drawing oak leaves and worms, and then I started adding colour. This is the gall wasp that created this. So the basis of our activity is something called leaf rubbings. So you can get lots of different materials. Start with a pencil and very gently start to rub the leaf. Now this takes lots of practice. You want to keep moving your hand back while not moving the leaf. You can see that all the veins from the leaf is really, really nice. Now that's just with a pencil, but maybe we want to use colour in our leaf rubbings. So I'm going to get a colouring pencil, a green one, and see if that works. That works really nicely. Some things don't work as nice, like pastels. So you can see that this doesn't work, it doesn't take. So you might have to experiment with pencils, colouring pencils, and some other materials, because sometimes it won't work and sometimes it will. So you just need to try different things. So now I'm ready. I've practiced all my leaf rubbings and I'm ready to start. So I'm just going to collect different leaves of different sizes, all from my oak tree, and you can see the shape of the oak tree. There's lots of different leaves that you can do and create different ecosystems, maybe for a birch tree or a conifer tree later on. So I'm just going to lay that down. And now I'm going to just change the direction of it and maybe change colour. This one. So I'm just starting to make different designs and making it like the canopy or the crown of the tree. So this takes some time, but while you're doing it, you can be thinking of which bugs or creatures will live in your canopy. And sometimes you can have a leaf come in from the side and you're not showing all of the leaf, you're just showing it a part of it. Look. And if it moves, that's okay. The leaves in the trees move too, I suppose. Sometimes you might have a yellow leaf or an orange leaf. Let's go for orange. To show different seasons. The interesting thing about oak trees as well is they keep their leaves longer than any other tree. So they create shelter for birds in the winter. So in January, you'll still see leaves on an oak tree, whereas all the other deciduous trees will be empty. Okay, I'll just do one more. So when you are looking at your tree, did you pick out animals that you'd like to draw that live there? Or is there ones that you like to draw more than others? I'm not very good at drawing birds, or I don't like my birds, but I did like drawing the bark beetles. So I'm just going to draw one here. By creating a canopy, we don't have to keep with scale. All the animals are of equal importance because they're all in the ecosystem. So we can just draw them in on top of our leaf rubbings. The other thing I'm fascinated with is lichen. So I'm going to draw a little branch here. This was our lichen, remember? So it's hard to draw, but I'm just going to draw some squiggles in. And then using my colouring pencils, I can colour it all in. So you can cover the whole page with different leaf rubbings. And sometimes when you start to draw in your animals and colour them in, your leaves start to lose their definition. So sometimes I like to just trace the leaf because they're so nicely formed and it gives a sense of depth to your rubbings. And with all the hand-drawn elements as well as your bugs that you're drawing, sometimes it's nice to just draw in a couple of leaves. So you keep going, and then I'll show you one that I made a little bit earlier. So here I started to draw in a squirrel and the oak gall. I found it much easier to draw the oak gall because I was looking at it in real life. The other things I had to draw maybe from a picture book or from my imagination. So I liked to keep a record of what animals I saw. So when I saw worms, I would draw a worm and write what it is, because if I saw a bark beetle, maybe I didn't know what that was and I had to look it up in a book. I had to draw the squirrel really quickly and it was eating an acorn, and that's why I couldn't find any acorns, because the squirrels have all eaten them. And it's really important because they squirrel them away or bury them, and sometimes they forget where they bury them, and then another oak tree grows, because an oak tree grows from the acorn. So I like this way of drawing because it's quite abstract and everything is of equal importance. The lichen is the same as the squirrel, and the squirrel is the same as the worm, and the worm is the same as the gall wasp. But if you'd like a more realistic picture, you can still create a lovely tree with leaf rubbings. So we'll get another piece of paper, and this time I'll put it portrait, and I'll get some leaves and I'll just start making rubbings again. Then I'm just going to work my way around. You need to have a lot of pencil pairs on the go, because when you're making your rubbings, it really takes a lot of colour. So I'm just working my way around so it starts to look like the top of a tree. So then, when you've got all of your tree done, you can draw in your trunk and then draw in the roots and draw in all of your different animals again. So here goes my gall wasp. It actually lives in the earth, in the roots. And then I'm going to draw my bark beetle up here. And a bird, and you can keep going and adding all of your elements. Well, I really hope you enjoyed all the tree rubbings, the collections, and exploring the oak tree as an ecosystem, seeing all the many species that live there, over 400, and all the life it supports. Happy wandering.